I'm having a hard time speaking today. You know when you have like a hard time speech, your mouth, it doesn't work like it's supposed to? So we're gonna try it anyway, because I keep like blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know this. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Summer Meyers. I'm a homeschool mom of 6 kids, and on this channel we talk about all things homeschool, and today is a great day because 1, we are talking about read alouds, and 2, we are collabing with the wonderful Katie over at Life in the Mundane. Katie is putting together a playlist of other favorite read alouds and not so favorite read alouds. So a bunch of other YouTube moms are going to be talking about things that they read this year, and if you had a year like I did, so let me explain. We had a good read aloud year, as in we were consistent and we read every day, and it was fabulous. It was fantastic. It was great. However, our read alouds, I'm not sure what happened. I normally pick great books because I'm brilliant. However, the books I selected this year just didn't do quite so hot. So I'm really excited about this playlist. I'm excited to see what everybody else turned up. If you're interested in other read aloud suggestions, check out that playlist after watching this video. And also check out Katie's channel because she is fantastic and brilliant and just has so many great ideas and resources about homeschooling. She's wonderful. Yeah, she's fabulous. So which one do we want to talk about first? We want to talk about least favorite or favorite? Do you start negative or go positive? I don't know. Okay, let's start with favorite read alouds. Let's do that. Go positive first. You guys can catch the negativity on your way out. Cut. So our first favorite read aloud was Trumpet of the Swan, hands down. I know this is probably in everybody homeschooler's box. Everybody's probably read it already, but this was our year of reading it. So I'm going to say it now because it was a favorite. Okay, so hot take, unpopular opinion here. I'm not a huge fan of E.B. White's Charlotte's Web. It's just not one of my favorites. Trumpet of the Swan, however, held all of us. It was just magical, talking about these swans who are out in the wilderness of Canada, and it just evoked such powerful imagery of cold and of springtime, and it just was beautiful the way it was laid out. And I loved how it captured this ebb and flow of time and seasons. And maybe I'm the only one that noticed it. Maybe nobody else notices it when they read Trumpet of the Swan. But I loved the images it evoked. I also loved the characters. I found them endearing. The language lends itself to being read aloud. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And if you haven't read it, I'd highly recommend it. It is good for all ages, particularly those young elementary school years. We just really enjoyed it. Do you guys remember last year how everybody was talking about the Wild Robot? I mean, like, I feel like I watched 8 or 10 videos last year about the Wild Robot and how great it was. So we read it. We did read it. And we really enjoyed it. Go figure. No wonder it was everywhere. So we read The Wild Robot this year. It was a phenomenal read aloud. It was really well written. I loved the robot. We all did love the robot. All my kids loved the robot. And this was a book that they constantly begged me to keep going, keep reading, don't stop. And they wanted to find out what happened to the robot. And they were very eager to get to the rest of the story. It was a hard one to set down for that reason. All right, so we actually haven't even finished this one. This is called Catherine Called Birdie. This was a book, I'm literally reading my childhood copy. I found it at my parents' house while I was rummaging through some stuff, and I was like, oh, Catherine Called Birdie, we're going to read this. Catherine Called Birdie is also just a children's classic. It's so fun and well written and hilarious. It's hilarious. It is in diary form, so I have a bit of a hang up with letter form or journal form where, you know, the author is writing from the first point of view, and it's dated, and, you know, like, it's hard to incorporate dialogue or whatever. But this one is done so well, and I love crawling into her head and thinking about the things that she thinks about. It's also just really great for those medieval read alouds because it does give you a sense of what time was like. It's not a princess story, you know, where you've got the couch cushions and everything's beautiful. It's very much dark mid-ages where you have to go outside to use the bathroom and everybody sleeps in the same room and they've got the rushes on the floor because they don't clean up after their dogs that live there. You know, like it captures the time period very well. And I appreciate that for a children's literature because that is how they learn things through historical fiction. Great historical fiction read aloud. My girls are just laughing through it. They just think she is so funny and clever. All right, so our last favorite read aloud is Sing a Song of Seasons. So this is a bit of a cheat. This is a bit of a cheating one because this isn't exactly a regular read aloud. However, we do read it every single day, so I'm gonna include it. It's coming. It's gonna be in this one. I guess technically this would be a morning basket read aloud because that's when we do it. We do it in our morning. Every morning we read one of the poems and it's so beautifully illustrated and my girls love it. And I love listening to that language first thing in the morning and finding rhyming words or alliteration or pacing or breaking down syllables. I love that it's all about nature and it's such a beautiful, beautiful book. I was a little bit skeptical getting it, but I really wanted to incorporate poetry into our daily rhythms. And this book does it so beautifully. And I know they have another one about animals. I can't recall off the top of my, I'll throw up a picture or something of it, where it talks about animals and nature. So after we're done with the Sing a Song of Seasons, I'm pretty sure we're going to go one more year just reading it again, because I think repeating those poems and that memory recall when you reread a poem, I think that's excellent for children. And so we're going to do that one more year, and then I might switch it to this other book where it does the animals. Okay, so those are the ones we really liked. Let's talk a little bit about some that we didn't like. Actually, I'm not going to throw too many under the bus. I'm just going to do two, and they're not terrible books. In fact, if you read them, you probably would enjoy them. So why didn't I like them? Well, let's break it down here. All right, the first one I'm going to say is The Land of Roar. So this was a book that was recommended to me actually by a friend of mine locally. And we pulled it up and my girls were like, oh, I actually read this one. So they had read it a little bit prior, my older two. And they were like, you need to read this. So there are times where my children give me a book and they say, I'd really like it if you read this out loud to everybody. And I normally acquiesce to that request because I like that they are actively engaged in what we're reading. And it's also really good to reread books, not just read them and set them aside. You want to encourage that habit of rereading good books because it's so good for your language building skills, for your reading skills, comprehension. I mean, it does really a lot of good things for your brain and development. So whenever they say, please read this book, I do. And Land of Roar was one that they had read and they said, you should read this one. I said, okay, yes, we will. I did not care for it as much. My children really enjoyed it. It's not that it wasn't well written, because it was well written. It was just, I did not like the sibling relationship in there. I am particularly sensitive to books that encourage good family relations. I don't mind books that have struggles and where a family struggles with each other and then ultimately conquers and develops stronger bonds together. I think that's good because that's natural, that's reflective of life. I do not like books that encourage this idea of, oh, my younger brother's so annoying, or my older sister is so hung up on her phone and teenager or what, like I don't like that. So in The Land of Roar, the two twins, it's a boy and a girl, who go to their grandfather's house, and they used to play a game every time they visited called The Land of Roar. And they would go to the Land of Roar and they would, do all these really great adventures. And it felt real to them because they were young. Well, now they've come back. They're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and they don't want to play Land of Roar. At least his sister doesn't. She wants to go be on her phone, hang out with the cool girls who are really mean and catty. Also something I don't appreciate. I don't like it when girls are portrayed as catty and nasty to each other. I just don't like it. I don't think that's good for girl relationships. Girls should be encouraged to be nurturing and kind and caring, just like boys should be. And I think it's toxic to refer to women in that way. Oh my gosh, I'm getting on such a soapbox with this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be. And they eventually make it back to the Land of Roar. And it's a real place. And they really do go on adventures. And they save Grandpa. And they go to mermaids. It's really cute. However, it was just not my favorite. My children really did like it. There's nothing wrong or inherently bad in it, but I will say that I did not care for the sibling relationship portrayal or the friendship portrayal. I felt like it was just kind of harsh. It felt kind of harsh to me. So not my favorite. The second book that I had really a hard time reading aloud was actually Ella Enchanted. And that feels super, super blasphemous because I love Ella Enchanted. My copy is just totally destroyed. I loved that book growing up and I continue to love it and still read it. Just when I'm feeling kind of down, I'll get Ella Enchanted out and I'll just read that in my room. I don't know if I should have confessed that to the internet. So imagine my surprise when I read it out loud and it did not hold anyone's attention. Everybody just kind of scattered. The chapters were really long. I wonder if it's because it wasn't engaging enough for my littles. My oldest really loves this book. I know my next one down, she'll enjoy it too. When she reads it to herself. But for whatever reason, it just did not lend itself to reading out loud. I'm not entirely certain why. I love that book. Nobody should not read that book. It just didn't do it for us this year. And you know what? That'll happen occasionally where you read a book out loud that you think is going to be a huge hitter. And then something is just off about it. It might be the season of life you're in. Your kids are too young. Maybe they're a little bit too old. Sometimes books lend themselves better to audiobooks, So, I don't think that should discourage anybody from trying it and reading it and enjoying it. Just didn't work for us this year. It was kind of sad. So those were our read alouds. I actually, that's not all of our read alouds. We had several more, but those are the ones that I decided to pull and share with you. Here you go. If you're interested in more book lists, I'll link a playlist of all the other books that we have read for different grade levels, for different units or whatever. Feel free to check those out, as well as the playlist down below of other read alouds that YouTube moms are reading to their kids. I hope this was helpful. And if it was, you should like and subscribe. I hope that, all your dreams come true and that you're having a wonderful week. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.